So we're just a few days away from the release of Avengers Infinity War, and without question, this is my most anticipated movie of the summer. But because I'm so excited for it, that also means there's the highest potential for it to disappoint me. Now, I'm sure this movie's going to be amazing. I've got tickets to see it on both Thursday and on Saturday, but this thought's been creeping into my mind. What if it sucks? So that's what this video is all about. The 5 reasons that I think Avengers Infinity War could potentially suck. Now, before I get started and give you my list, go ahead and tell me down below in the comment section, where are you nervous about this movie? Where do you think it could go off the rails and become a train wreck? Tell me down below. Let's have a nice, lively, yet respectful discussion. With that said, let's get started. Reason number 1, tonal inconsistency. One of the biggest challenges for this film is that they're merging all of these franchises together into one film, and it needs to both be true to what's come before as well as feel like a cohesive film in and of itself. And you need only look at the 3 films that came out last year and how lighthearted and comedy heavy they were, and contrast that with the marketing for this film thus far, where it's promising huge stakes, lots of deaths, people being tortured, impaled, and it has war in the title. The Russo brothers' previous 2 movies certainly had comedic elements, but they're also some of the more serious movies in the MCU. And coming up after what they did in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 and Thor Ragnarok, I'm very nervous about the tone feeling consistent throughout the movie. Now, certainly a movie can have both tragedy, death, and drama, as well as put a smile on our face and make us laugh. But the key thing is that all of it needs to feel like it's been directed by the same creative team. The tragic parts shouldn't feel like they've been directed by someone different from the people doing the wacky humor with the Guardians of the Galaxy. And one of my biggest fears is that it's going to feel like a jumble of a bunch of franchises coming together as opposed to one consistent vision throughout the film. Reason number 2, too many plot lines and characters. Going back to the original Avengers movie, people were nervous about that film because they're like, how can you take this many lead characters, put them in one movie, and make it work? Obviously, with that film, they did a great job. People loved it. But that wasn't an unreasonable fear. At some point in time, you've got too many main characters and the movie stops working. This film has over 20 main cast members that are on the poster for the film. In a lot of ways, this movie is a direct sequel to like 5 different movies inside of the MCU. That's a lot of plot lines, a lot of characters that all kind of come together, and you gotta weave it together and have a cohesive story inside of it. And you also wanna make sure you're giving enough time to everyone. That's a lot to put into one movie that's only 2.5 hours long. One of my biggest fears related to this is that they're gonna have to simplify the main storyline throughout this film just so that they can try and squeeze all these characters and plot lines together in the film. And each new plot line and character is one more place where the movie could unravel. With so many moving parts, there's a lot that could potentially go wrong. Reason number 3, fake deaths. One of the biggest problems the MCU has is they've repeated this same trope of faking people's deaths. So you've seen it with Loki, Agent Coulson, Nick Fury, and they show a character die, we mourn their death, and then surprise, they bring them back. And the problem this movie's gonna run into is they can potentially kill a bunch of characters in this movie, credits roll, and here's one big problem. We've already seen set photos from Avengers 4, which comes out next year. We've already seen the cast for Avengers 4, which comes out next year. They've already given interviews where they've said, I'm in Avengers 4, which comes out next year. And so this movie can very easily kill characters, try and make us mourn in the moment, while the whole time we're going, oh, well, they can just come back. Or what could happen is they really do kill off a character. They're not coming back in the next movie. They're done for. But they've done this fake death so many times that we've become a little bit numb to the effect of it because we're just thinking, they'll just probably come back anyway, but they're not coming back. And so they've cheated themselves out of the emotion for when a death actually occurs by what they've done before. So their history of fake deaths combined with the small amount of knowledge that we have Avengers 4 could be a serious problem for this film. Reason number 4, unsatisfying ending. So when they first announced this movie, it was 2 parts, Infinity War Part 1, and then the following year, Infinity War Part 2 coming out. However, since then, they've said that Part 2 isn't Part 2, it's just Avengers 4. But we know at the same time that these two movies are closely tied together, and that leads to the potential opportunity for this movie to end, and it's not a very satisfying conclusion. It just feels like a cliffhanger that's not a real ending to a story, it's just the middle, and it just cuts off suddenly. For a story to feel satisfying, you have to have characters that have something that they desire, that go through conflict to try and acquire it, that have transformation in the process, and then it comes to a resolution at the end of the film. Well, if this movie just cuts off in the middle of the conflict and we don't get that resolution and transformation until the second film, this will feel like a very unsatisfying conclusion to the film. Also, without wanting to go too far into speculative spoilers, there's some discussion that the Time Stone could play a prominent role in Avengers 4. Now, this could set up one of the greatest 1-2 punches in film history, and this amazing twist in everything they're looking to do with that. It also sets up the scenario where this movie ends with a brutal, intense ending, and then they do a big twist in the second film that feels an awful lot like the ending of Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 2, where essentially they just undo everything cool that we just saw, and all the stakes are undone by their big twist. And I've heard some theories on how Doctor Strange is going to play into this movie as well as the next movie that have me a little bit terrified that they're going to Breaking Dawn Part 2 Avengers Infinity War. And the fifth and final reason Infinity War could suck is the third film curse. Now, there's a long history in comic book trilogies of the third film being the weakest of the bunch. You can look at the Blade movies, the first two, really good. The third one really sucks. Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy, the first two are great. Third one, widely considered the weakest, and a lot of people just flat out think it sucks. The X-Men trilogy, 1 and 2, great. The third one, easily the weakest of the bunch. The First Class trilogy, X-Men Apocalypse, widely considered the worst of that trilogy of films. Even Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. A lot of people think that The Dark Knight Rises is an ambitious film that has too many plot holes in it, and it's the weakest of the bunch. It seems like when directors, even great directors, stick around too long on a franchise, eventually the quality drastically drops. And this movie is both the Russo brothers' third movie in the MCU in under 5 years and the third Avengers film. I also think a trilogy is kind of like The Matrix, where they decided to do this 1-2 punch with 2 and 3, and that turned out really bad, and that makes me very nervous for this film. So there you have it. There's my 5 reasons that Avengers Infinity War could potentially suck. I'm sure the movie's gonna be great. I'm so excited to see this movie. I just thought it would be fun to discuss the possibility that, hey, it could suck. So down in the comment section, go ahead and tell me, why are my 5 reasons ridiculous, and counter them, as well as tell me your reasons that you're concerned about this movie. Let's have a nice lively discussion down below in the comment section. And if you're new to my channel, please consider clicking that subscribe button. I do movie reviews, TV reviews, ranking videos, speculative videos like this one. But the key thing is I don't want to just talk about movies, I want to talk about movies with you. So join me down in the comment section. I really do read your comments. I really do try to respond to as many of them as I possibly can. And as always, thank you for watching.